I've spoken about H.G. Wells recently, and I've also brought up some of the series inspired by his works, like War of the Worlds, which served as a continuation of the film, or The Invisible Man, which borrowed heavily from his original book. And as I've always had a fondness for that classic style of storytelling, I figured it was time to bring up another series clearly inspired by his legacy, the tripods. From the towering machines to the subjugation of mankind, it's obvious where the seed of this idea came from, and while it takes its own root, the DNA of Wells' work is unmistakable. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Daemon, and today I'm looking at a forgotten piece of sci-fi that should have been a classic, if the BBC hadn't fumbled the landing. The BBC's Tripod series aired in 1984 and 1985, with plans for a third season that, surprise, surprise, never happened. Based on John Christopher's novels, the show tried to ride the wave of post-Doctor Who sci-fi, and it really had potential. Giant alien machines ruling over a regressed humanity, young heroes defying mind control. Sounds like a winner, right? Well, no, not quite. Season 1, adapting the White Mountains, was decent, not perfect, but the bones were there. A bleak world where people were capped, literally fitted with metal mind control devices at age 14, and any resistance was hidden away in the mountains. The first few episodes set the tone well enough, and while the acting was a bit wooden, this is 1980s BBC after all, there was still something compelling about it. The production design for the tripods, for the time and budget, was surprisingly effective. You really felt the looming threat of those machines. Then Season 2 happened. Adapting the City of Gold and Lead, things should have ramped up. We were finally going inside a tripod city. The stakes were higher. The masters would finally appear. Instead, we got a disco. I'm not kidding. The alien city, described in the book as a gravity-intense, alien, oppressive nightmare, was reduced to a glittery, neon-lit rave pit that would have embarrassed Blake 7. The masters were no longer the unseen puppet masters of dread. No, now they looked like knockoff plush toys operating the tripods like Gundams. The mystery, gone. The fear, dead. And of course, in true BBC fashion, they added things nobody asked for. Enter the Cognosks, glowing energy beings who outrank the masters, because apparently it wasn't enough to have three-legged alien conquerors. We needed Budget Q from Star Trek II. Toss in the Black Guards, stormtrooper flunkies who existed mainly because animating a tripod every episode wasn't in the budget, and the show began to feel like it was collapsing under its own cheap ambition. Oh, and let's talk about localization. Half the characters are supposed to be French. Season 1 made some effort there, but Season 2? It forgets France even exists. Everyone's suddenly British because clearly the BBC couldn't afford to fake accents 2 seasons in a row. Well, we know that's not true. Hello anyone. Then came the ultimate BBC betrayal. They pulled the plug just before the actual war. Season 3 would have adapted The Pool of Fire, where humanity finally strikes back. The payoff to all that build-up, never filmed. We got through all the wandering, all the setup, all the training montages. And when it was time to fight back, the Beeb threw in the towel. Why? Oh, same old story. Budget cuts, political shifts. Someone upstairs didn't think kids would get it. Never mind the loyal fan base. Never mind the cliffhanger. Just cancel it and move on. The BBC has a long, proud tradition of shooting promising sci-fi in the foot. Bugs, Blake 7, and now tripods. 7 and... What makes this cancellation sting even more is that there was a prequel novel, When the Tripods Came, which told the story of how the invasion started in modern-day England. It had a very Invasion of the Body Snatchers vibe, with a sinister TV show called The Trippy Show, subtly brainwashing people and paving the way for conquest. It would have made a perfect standalone adaptation, tight, timely, creepy. But of course that never got adapted. The BBC wouldn't even finish the main trilogy, so why bother with a prequel that actually would have required subtlety and atmosphere? So, should you watch the tripods, honestly? Only if you've got a soft spot for 80s British sci-fi and a high tolerance for disappointment. The concept is brilliant. The execution, not so much, is the blueprint for what could have been great if anyone had just handed them a halfway decent budget and let the thing finish. The real tragedy is that it ends right before it gets good. It's like getting to the final boss in a game only for your console to crash, and the developer says, "Sorry, we're not patching it." Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where naturally I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.